step number 1 of the purpose discovery exercise is to go through and think about 3 life-defining moments before the age of 13. And so it's funny because here I was in my mid to late 30s, really participating in this exercise. And I instantly shot back to this 8-year-old version of myself. So I'm in the pink bathing suit. We were living in Lodi, New Jersey. Anybody from New Jersey? We were living in Lodi, New Jersey. My mom has her arms around me. She was 17 when she had me. She was a senior in high school. And so my dad, my biological dad, was never in the picture, right? He was not in my life. I grew up not knowing him. And so as a result, my mom was really figuring her life out. She was really young. And so my immigrant grandparents, who are also pictured, stepped in to raise me. And I could remember many moments of my life before the age of 13 were being my grandmother's full-time translator. Everywhere we went to the grocery store, people would try to communicate with her. She would look to me like, please help me. I don't know what they're saying, right? And so I had to become her voice. I had to become her translator when there was mail at the door, or, I had to read it and communicate to her. Or she had to write a check, right? She didn't know how to write in English. I would have to write out her check. Here I was 8, 9 years old, learning these things for myself. But that many of my moments that I remember before 13 were being her right arm person, right? Helping her navigate life. And so guys, this is so important to go back to before 13 because it's deeply tied to your purpose. And that's why we start there. My 2 aunts, who are also pictured, grew up more like my sisters. I shared a bedroom with my one aunt. She was 5 years older than me. My grandmother was really like my mother. She stepped in to really raise me. So my 2 aunts who are pictured grew up more like my sisters. I was the youngest, of course, right? But my grandmother also had 9 siblings, and they all came to America at the same time. And I had probably 30 cousins. I don't even know. I haven't even counted. A lot. I had a lot of cousins, and every weekend we'd get together with the cousins, and we'd be together often. And even just when I was home with my aunts, I was always the youngest out of everybody. And so I could vividly remember moments walking into a room and everyone being like, oh, Jenny's here, and now we can't do this, and we can't do that, and we can't watch certain movies, and we can't talk about certain things, and we can't, do things because I was too little to experience them, right? And so I often remembered moments of walking into a room and feeling like the young, annoying one, right? There were many moments. And so it's funny because here I was in my mid-30s, living a pretty, I thought I was living a good life. I mean, I felt like I was not super fulfilled, but I had a great husband. I was, had kids. We just bought a house. I felt like I was living my life, right? But as we sit in these moments, as we recall those moments before 13, I start to remember that 8-year-old version of myself felt like she didn't have a voice. Because by just witnessing my grandmother go through life and navigate without having a voice, I felt like I didn't have a voice. But also, I felt like I didn't belong. I felt like I was so different from the rest of my friends who had their moms, their dads, their siblings. They grew up in that traditional household, right? And so I always felt like I was so different. Not only could they not call my mom for a play date or hang out or communicate, but even if they called my grandmother, she couldn't communicate with them. So I felt like I was like from a different planet. I felt like I was so different from the rest of the world. And I also felt like as the result, I felt like I wasn't as good as those kids. I felt like they were better than me. And so it's funny because here I was in my mid to late 30s, never really thinking about these moments. But as I sat there and honored that 8-year-old version of myself and how I felt like I didn't belong and like I didn't have a voice and like I wasn't good enough, I started to realize that as we get older, we start to build up walls and we start to put on armor because we want to protect ourselves from feeling that vulnerable feeling, right? And so the truth is that these feelings still lie dormant in us, and they influence us to participate in these self-sabotaging behaviors, which is step number 2, right? So I sat there and I just honored this 8-year-old version of myself and how I felt like I didn't have a voice and I didn't belong.